New construction sounds fantastic. You're getting a brand new house, it's nice and shiny. You don't have to deal with any renovations. But here in Victoria, new construction can often come with some surprises that could fundamentally change your experience. And now I'm not talking about changes to the tile color or something small like that. No, I'm talking about big changes, such as now the timeline has shifted due to a variety of reasons, and that's completely changed your moving plans. Sometimes we have unexpected costs. We're looking through the contract. There are clauses that will heavily favor the developer. And also what happens if you're getting into a pre-sale, which we're seeing all across Canada, especially in Vancouver and Toronto. The market has shifted and now we're in a pre-sale situation that doesn't make sense anymore. So today I'm breaking down the hidden risks, the real timelines, and the processes we use to keep our buyers protected. And that's if you're buying a pre-sale condo, a new townhouse, or that shiny new single family home. Now, if you're watching this video, it's because you are thinking about buying a brand new property in either Victoria, Saanich, Oak Bay, anywhere in the greater Victoria. And please watch this before you sign anything. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alex Hughes with the North Pacific Homes Group here in Greater Victoria. We help buyers and sellers make smart decisions, especially when those decisions come with a little bit more complexity than they look on the surface. And new construction is exactly that. The marketing is always great. The show home looks fantastic, but there is a lot of hidden concerns, we will call them, whether that's the contract clauses or the timelines that we need to understand. So here in BC, I mean, the biggest thing that people talk about with brand new builds is the GST. You'll be paying an extra 5% on top of the purchase price. Now, we got to look at, is the advertisement showing GST on top of the price? Is it showing it included? Are they advertising it with certain rebates? We got to figure out exactly what you're using this property for, whether it's a secondary property, whether it's your primary residence, whether you have not purchase a property, this is going to be your first home, but we got to understand if you actually do qualify for those rebates to take advantage of them. A lot of people talk about the GST exemption as it has been in the news, but I want to make it clear as of when we're filming this video, the GST exemption actually hasn't been officially approved yet. It has passed its third reading, so it looks like it's going to be, but technically hasn't officially been approved, so we have to keep that in mind when we are going and looking out at properties. Next is going to be the property transfer tax. Now, with new builds, a lot of people just automatically assume that it's exempt. That's not always the case. There are certain price thresholds we need to consider. Your first-time home buyer status, your residency status, all of these things need to be taken into account to see exactly what amount of property transfer tax is exempt from the property. On top of that, depending how the structure is, this happens more in the Lower Mainland and in Toronto, they're figuring out exactly what property transfer you're paying on, whether it's just the land at a certain time or whether it's the land plus the improvements. I probably should say, I'm not here to give legal advice, but we are here to help you out on every step of the way. So although we don't provide legal advice, we're going to get you to the people that do, and we want to make sure that it's verified. Next is going to be the home warranty, which I'm sure you've probably heard about. It's also referred to as the 2-5-10 warranty here in BC. It's 2 years for essentially everything on the inside of the home. Outside of the appliances, they have their own separate 1-year appliance warranty from the manufacturer. 5 years for the envelope of the property, so anything that keeps the elements out, whether that's windows, whether that's the siding, the roof, the perimeter drain is actually included in that. And then 10 years for the foundation. So if there is any structural damage or structural defects, you are covered for 10 years from the builder or the developer, depending on what you're buying. Now, there's a big difference that we need to understand between what a defect is and just what a frustration is. We've had multiple instances where in a year's time, there is certain allowances in the warranty that our clients want fixed, and that's not covered. Kind of the most common one that we see is cracks in the concrete. If it's within a certain width, that is considered settling or wear and tear. That's not actually covered under warranty. The defects are what covered. If that crack goes to a certain length, or if there are screw pops in the drywall after the home is settled, that is a defect. Now, the best warranty that we can kind of say is, and this works best in Victoria, where it's a relatively smaller market, is understanding who the builder is, what their track record is, what sort of projects they've done, and have they had any complaints brought against them. This is arguably the biggest if you are buying a pre-sale condo, is the timeline. Now, when you go to the show home, when you're looking at their brochure, it's probably gonna say completion spring 2027. Well, that's a projection, not a promise. There are so many things that could go wrong that's outside of the developer's control. There could be supply issues, there could be permitting issues. There are a variety of reasons as to why there are delays. We had a builder here last year, 2 years ago, where the property went up in flames due to an electrical fire. So when we are dealing with our clients, and let's say we're moving in this May, and they're gonna get their place on the market early, get it sold for June. Well, we don't necessarily recommend that, because what if May turns into August or turns into November? We have to make sure that we have a backup plan in place to make sure that your home is sold and you've got somewhere to go. Buying a pre-sale condo is never risk-free. You're buying into a place that hasn't been built yet, but our job is to mitigate the risk as much as possible. Now here in Victoria, it does make it a little bit easier. We have a smaller developer pool. We pretty much know everybody that builds here, and so we know their track record. But that is always our first step, is figuring out exactly who is building this place. What's their track record? Are their projects generally on time? Have they had massive deficiencies or claims brought against this? All of this is taken into account, so we cannot get rid of all of the risk, but we can mitigate it as much as possible. The next step is going to be the same as if you were buying a resale with us, and that is looking at the location. Now, this building could be the most beautiful condo or townhouse that you've ever laid your eyes on, but we want to know what this neighborhood is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. So we're going to be looking at the official community plan, or depending on where you are, you could refer to it as a master plan. And that kind of sets the tone for how the municipality wants the city to evolve over the years. So that's setting certain zoning requirements, density requirements. So checking to see if you're in a high density zone and you've got a couple of single family homes across the street from you, there's a likelihood that down the road that could change into a building. Now, there might not be anything in the municipality in terms of development permit, put in there, but if you are buying the condo because you absolutely love the view and you wouldn't be buying because of any other reason, and you've got a bunch of older homes that are set for higher density, well, that should be something that we should be considering. On top of that, we'll be looking at schools, transportation, walkability, how much competition is in the area for resale. All of this will be taken into consideration. Next is going to be the contracts. For pre-sales, the contracts are written pretty much 100% in favor of the developers, and that's common. It's a very different contract than what we see in the contract of purchase and sale for resale. But we need to understand what these clauses mean and how they affect you. And these could be completion adjustments or extensions, material substitutions, what your deposit structure is. Are you able to assign this? We need to make sure we have a strong understanding of what all these clauses mean to you before we get locked into it. And finally is coming up with an exit strategy. Now, if you're buying a pre-sale condo, that could be years down the road. Life changes, market changes. And we need to have an understanding of how we're able to get out of it, if possible, prior to us getting locked in this contract. And that goes back to the assignment clauses. Assignment is being able to sell the property to a new buyer, before completion. But a lot of developers might have a restriction on assignment. They might be charging a fee on assignment. So understanding what you're able to do should something change in your life and you can no longer complete on the property, or have a secondary plan in place where you need to complete and sell relatively quickly. A real world example we can give you is, this was probably about 4 years ago. We had a client come to us. They had gone to a show home, fallen in love with the property, loved the building, loved the amenities, loved everything about it. So we started doing our due diligence. We're looking at the contract clauses, we're looking at the timelines, and we're looking at the area. The unit that they were looking for had this beautiful view, and that was pretty much the main reason. And I kind of hinted at that a little bit earlier in this video. So we looked at the OCP and we noticed that there was a site across the street that was essentially ripe for development. I mean, it was old homes, big lots, high density allowed. And although nothing was pulled in terms of building permits or development permits with the city, there was a risk that there was going to be a building put in place that would completely block out the view for these clients. So we talked about it, and the contract also didn't allow the property to be assigned whatsoever. So once they're in to the end. And ultimately they decided that it wasn't worth the risk. Well, fast forward about a year before completion, building permit was put on those properties, and it was going to be pretty much the same height as the building that our clients were interested in, and it would have completely blocked the view, So not only would they be losing the view, but also you could make the guess or make the estimate, make the assumption that their property value would be going down because all they were looking at was a building next door. With all this to be said, this isn't meant to scare you from new construction. We just want to understand the risks. New construction can be great for you if you're looking to hold it for long term, if you value, low maintenance, if you're looking at wanting to get into building with the newest energy efficiency, step codes, building codes, all of these things, and you're okay with having a flexible timeline. Resale can be a better option for you if you want that exact completion date. Maybe you want to be able to negotiate more on deficiencies with the property or what the market bears. I mean, if you're very handy and there's a couple things wrong with the property, you get that upswing on getting them fixed. Makes the most sense. And maybe it's a better market for resale and there's more options available. We have to look into all of these different factors and what fits the best lifestyle for you so we can make the best informed and educated decision. So if there's one thing to take away from this video, it's that new construction can be great as long as we're going in with the right strategy. The worst thing I can say is that you'll do is you go in, you sign the paperwork, and then you ask the questions later. Now, depending on where you are, even if you're at the very beginning and I'm just thinking about it stage, please reach out to us. Our job is to go through the process with you, answer any questions, make sure that the property and the lifestyle fits what you're looking for, to understand the hidden costs, understand the clauses, all of that stuff. So if you're thinking about it, even if it's in the distant future, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always happy to help. And that is the video. We hope you liked it. We hope you found it informative. If you did like it, please give us a like. It helps us out immensely. If this is the first time you've stumbled across me, thank you so much for watching. But also, if you'd be so kind, subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get out some great content for you to make you a better informed homeowner, buyer, seller, anything regarding real estate. And as always, my contact info will be down below. Never hesitate to reach out, regardless of what stage you're in. We are here to help and give as much information to you as possible. Thank you so much for watching.